That concludes our review of some of the most common approaches to designing web pages today, and some of the main features that we'll look at throughout this series. Before we get hands-on in the next chapter, I do want to show you one more aspect of web design that, although we won't cover in this series, I think is important to understand as you're learning some of these basics. If we go to the Total Training website, which, by the way, is where you can find this training online and order many other training videos, I want to show you this site because it was created using dynamic website technologies, which means that the content of the site is stored in a database, and instead of creating individual pages for each of the pages on this site, sites like this are designed by using master pages that draw content dynamically from a content source like a database and display it in a browser. So let me just show you an example. If I go to the CS3 training section, you'll see a page that displays a collection of videos all on one page. But if I click on the Dreamweaver CS3 training video, you'll see a page that displays just the Adobe Dreamweaver CS3 video. Now bear in mind that these pages are actually created dynamically. So no matter which of these programs I select, the technology behind this site is going to draw the contents, the picture, the description, the price information out of a database and display it in the same page on this site, meaning the same master page. This is a little complex to grasp if you've never worked with this kind of technology before. But essentially what I want you to understand is the most efficient and advanced kind of site you can create uses technology like ASP or ASP.NET or Cold Fusion or PHP or JSP. If you've heard any of those acronyms, or if you've noticed that extension at the end of a web page, you're looking at a site created with dynamic site technologies. What I want you to understand here is that although we won't get to this kind of advanced training, everything you learn in this Dreamweaver Essentials will contribute to your ability to create sites like this in the future. So even if you're thinking ahead, oh, I want to sell products on my site and I want to create a shopping cart or use one of the shopping cart services, or you know you're going to be working with a dynamic technology like Cold Fusion or PHP. If you're starting from zero today with web design, start with this series because you'll still be able to use everything we learn about CSS, everything we learn about creating tables for tabular data, all of the design features that I cover in this Essentials series will apply themselves even if you move on to more advanced technologies like this. By the way, if you've ever used a blogging tool, you know all those folks with blogs out there pouring their hearts out on the web, blogging tools are also essentially dynamic websites. So if you're wondering, can I use Dreamweaver to edit my blog? The simple answer is yes, you certainly can. The complicated answer is that anytime you work with a site like this dynamic site for Total Training or the kinds of dynamic sites used for blogging tools, you can only preview pages like the pages on this site if you have the equivalent of web server software on your local computer. And that can get a little complex if you're new to design, and it's one of the reasons that doing something like editing your blog page is a lot more complex in Dreamweaver than you might imagine. So I'll stop there for the purposes of this series, but I wanted you to be aware that some of the most exciting and advanced websites on the web today do go beyond what we can cover in this essential training. If you're watching this training, I assume you're relatively new to web design or that you're looking for a refresher course and a chance to update your skills with CSS and learn about the new features in Dreamweaver CS4. So we'll begin this next chapter with a quick review of the basics and how to create a simple web page with images, text, and links. If you're ready to dive into more complex lessons, feel free to skip ahead. Remember, you can always rewind and come back if you want to learn more of the basics later.